Hello friends, what if a simple road accident, a crazy crime, the sudden disappearance of a family, and that lakeside house where the doors open by themselves at night all point to the same question? Are we afraid only of criminals or also of the darkness that exists beyond humans? Every story begins with a seemingly ordinary beginning, a car driving down the road, a family sleeping in a house, or a holiday spent with friends. But the real horror begins when ordinary life suddenly takes a strange turn. Sometimes this turn is a criminal's plan, and sometimes it seems as if some invisible force is controlling people's decisions. The first incident begins on a deserted road. The night was deep, the air heavy. A girl was returning in her car. It is said that the car never reached its destination. When morning came, people found the broken car on the roadside, and the scene inside shocked everyone. Was it an accident or a conspiracy? The police report and evidence hid many questions. The second incident was even more mysterious. A seemingly ordinary man who seemed to socialize with others during the day would begin behaving strangely at night. His words began to change. Those around him felt as if he was under the influence of some unknown shadow. And when the first case came to light, everyone realized that this was no ordinary man, but a person trapped in his own darkness. The third incident shook the entire city. A family who had gone on a trip never returned home. 4 bodies were found in a car parked in the parking lot. The windows were closed, the doors locked from the inside. It seemed as if the family had tried to protect themselves from some unseen fear, but could not. The reason for their end remains completely unclear to this day. The police offered many theories, but each theory gave rise to a new mystery. The fourth story was the most mysterious. A family had come for vacation. The old lakeside house looked peaceful and beautiful from the outside, but something else was inside. At exactly 3 o'clock in the night, a knock on the garage door, unfamiliar footsteps walking on the porch, and the basement door, someone trying to open it. The scariest thing was those strange cars, distorted faces on them. Who was leaving these marks? Human or something else? In the cool morning air, a passerby saw a strange sight on the roadside. A car badly hit by a tree. The glass was broken, the metal was bent. Initially, everyone thought it was a simple road accident, but when the door was open, everyone was stunned by the driver's condition. Blood on his face and a deep wound on the back of his head. The police arrived. The area was cordoned off. An investigation was conducted. No weapon, no bullet casing, no concrete clues in the car. Just pictures, statements, and a lot of questions. Was the girl killed first and then hit by the car? Or was this all a sudden accident? Locals began to offer their own opinions. Some said it was murder. Some claimed strange incidents had occurred on that road before. Some even said they had heard gunshots at night. But the police had no evidence yet. After weeks of silence, a man suddenly appeared. He lived on the outskirts of town. He said he had been practicing with his weapon that night. His bullet accidentally struck water and deflected. He was astonished when he learned that a girl had died on the street that very night. The police believed him, but questions arose in court. Was it truly an accident, or was there a hidden truth? In the end, it was ruled an accident. The man only had to pay a fine, but the incident remained a mystery in the minds of the townspeople. For to this day, no one has been able to tell, was the girl's death merely an accident or a cunning plan? In a small part of town, a preacher was popular. He spoke of peace, hope, and faith. People came from far and wide to listen to his speech, but no one imagined that this same man would one day become a symbol of mystery and fear. One night, he held a meeting in his room. People gathered, prayers were offered, and everything seemed normal. But in the crowd was a man deeply troubled. The preacher invited him to stay overnight. Everyone considered it a kind act, but as the night deepened, the story took a strange turn. When the guest fell asleep, he was gone by morning. And then the preacher made a claim that shook the entire town. He said it was some mysterious ritual. According to him, this was the way of true devotion. The townspeople were astonished. Some considered it faith, others madness. But the real truth remains a mystery to this day. But it didn't end there. Over the next 5 days, he took 2 more lives. Each time, his behavior became more strange and frightening. Then one day, people saw him in the city streets wearing a hazmat suit. He seemed to be part of another world. Smoke rising from his room and a burnt smell emanating from a garbage can led the police there. When the police arrested him, he confessed without hesitation. He said these weren't his first victim. He had also killed people close to him in the name of this faith. In court, his words sounded like a nightmare. Eventually, he was convicted and sentenced. But the question remained, was he simply insane or a prisoner of some dark belief? Sometime later, a car parked in a busy parking lot attracted everyone's attention. The windows were fogged up and the doors were locked from the inside. When people broke down the door, the scene inside was like a scary mystery. The entire family was not visible. Initially, the police suspected it might be a gas leak or a technical malfunction. There were no signs of an explosion or force majeure in the car, but the question remained. If it was merely an accident, why didn't the family try to escape? As the investigation progressed, attention turned to the father of the family. Strange changes in his behavior had already been noticed. Neighbors reported that he was often upset and stressed, and arguments were common at home. Police became suspicious. Was this trip actually part of a family plan? During the search, the police found a device in the house, a container filled with gas. This made it clear that this was no ordinary accident. The poisonous gas circulating in the car was the cause of the accident. When the truth came out, suspicion turned toward the father, but he never clarified his motive. In court, he simply said, "It was necessary." Why was it necessary? For whom was it necessary? These questions were never answered, and this untold truth makes this case even more mysterious. This story begins with a family who arrived at an old lakeside house for the holiday. From the outside, the place looked serene and beautiful. Wooden walls, trees all around, and a sparkling lake in front. But often, the most beautiful places hide the darkest secrets. The family decided to stay in an old garage attached to the house. Sleep didn't come easily to them the first night. And then, after midnight, loud noises began to echo against the garage door. The entire structure shook as if something heavy was hitting from outside. The uncle mustered courage and opened the door. There was only a cold breeze outside, and behind him, in the darkness, stood a strange shadow. He called out, but the figure slowly vanished into thin air without a response. There were no footprints, no other evidence. As morning approached, more strange events unfolded. Inside the house and garage, small gesture cards were scattered throughout the house. Stories depicting strange, smiling faces. One card looked as if someone had twisted it into a frightening shape. The question now was, who left these cards there, and what did they mean? The next night, Mother heard footsteps on the porch. Then the basement door began to shake violently, as if someone were trying to break in. The entire family was terrified. By morning, they decided to end their vacation a day early. But even as they left, the same feeling lingered, as if an invisible eye was still following them. All 4 incidents took place in different places, with different characters. A mysterious car accident, a preacher's unusual behavior, a family's sudden death, and a haunted lakeside house. But they all had one thing in common: a sudden breakdown of normal life and the fear that takes its place. Some stories are born of human greed and madness. So are some stories where even the person themselves cannot understand what they saw. Was it just a crime, or is there really a power that lurks around us? Even today, people ask, was the death of the girl on that road truly an accident or part of a plan? Why did the preacher do this? Why did the father destroy his own family? And that lakeside house, was it just a coincidence or the abode of some unseen power? Every case leaves an echo. Witnesses lose their sleep, locals whisper, and the families of the victims never fully return to normal. These stories remind us that darkness lurks not just outside, but also within human beings. So the question is, should we fear human secrets, or the unknown darkness that sometimes creeps into our lives? Perhaps the real fear is that we will never fully know. In every case, there were some people who felt the truth. Someone suddenly heard a voice. Someone saw a restlessness in someone's eyes. Someone picked up a mysterious card, and someone simply saw a shadow disappear. But giving testimony wasn't easy. The fear wasn't just about the incident. It was also the fear that no one would believe it. After these incidents, a strange silence spread in the cities and towns where these events occurred. People began returning home quickly. Some even left their homes forever. The places became infamous, as if a layer of darkness had perpetually shrouded them. The perpetrators have been punished, but the question remains, is everything really over? The true culprit of the tragedy was never fully proven. The preacher's words remain on record. The motive behind the family's death remains unclear. And the lake house, no one wants to stay there even now. Sometimes the most difficult question is this: was it all human action, or the play of some invisible force? Because human crimes and unacknowledged fears have the same effect. They take lives and leave behind only mysteries. These 4 stories have no clear ending. They still echo today in whispers, incomplete reports, and in the eyes of those who lived them. Perhaps this is the true fear, that nothing ever truly ends. Darkness simply moves from one place to another and waits for its next victim. When an incident becomes incomprehensible, humans fill it with their imagination. Sometimes this imagination transforms the perpetrator into a greater monster, and sometimes it gives rise to invisible forces. But whatever the truth, its impact remains forever in the lives of the victims and in the sleep of the witnesses. Over time, these stories no longer remain confined to case files. They have become local legends. People are afraid to hear their names, and elders tell them in hushed tones. Some say they still see shadows on that road, or hear a laughter-like sound on the lakeshore. The police files may have been closed, but questions remain. Some evidence was never found. Some witnesses' testimonies were never recorded, and some truths were perhaps deliberately hidden. Now the questions are before you. If you were passing by that road, would you stop? If the preacher called you, would you go? If you saw that car parked in front of you, would you have the courage to open the door? And if you had to spend the night at the lake house, would you have done it? These stories teach us this: darkness never comes suddenly. It is always present around us, waiting for the right moment. Sometimes by human hands, sometimes by invisible forces, and sometimes by a combination of both. Perhaps this is why these stories never end. They simply move on to the next chapter. There are silent witnesses everywhere. The trees lining the road, the rocks by the lake, and the walls of that house. They saw everything, heard everything.
Hi friends, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe to the channel. And if you want to watch more thriller crime mysteries, keep supporting us with your love. This video is created only for entertainment purpose.